We're standing in what was a thicket of another Hakea in the Proteaceae family. This one's called Hakea elliptica, and that alludes to the elliptic leaves. So these are all seedlings with this beautiful coppery new growth, and you'll see the wonderful ellipse that you get with the leaf. Only found in the Albany area again. So whenever you go into granites, at this time of year, we're now in October, into November, you can see copper-coloured drifts, which are the seedling or leaves or new growth. But if you look up here, you can see this has been 5-6 metres high, and this is a place where a flock of about 100 Carnaby's cockatoo would come every year after flowering. Flowering,'s around about winter, so into late spring, and feed on the seeds, crack open the green fruits, feed on the seeds, and then fly back to their roosts about 5 kilometres away just north of Good Beach. To get to 5 or 6 metres, you're talking probably 40 years, maybe 60 years unburnt. And then November 2015, a dry lightning storm and a strike just behind us caused this fire and has reset the clock. So it's called an obligate seeder because while it produces plenty of seeds, you'll notice that the adult plants, and this is one right here, is not resprouting. There's nothing at the base from it. That dead wood is the adult, and if you just look over there, see all the dead wood with no resprouts at all, but surrounded by seedlings. So it's called an obligate seeder, meaning when the adult is killed, the only way it can reproduce is by the fruits opening and the seeds being dropped to the soil and germinating and growing. So really important plant. The seeds are edible, just like Hakea drupacea, the one right on the granite, used to make force up rock for lizard traps. But you can see we're on a deeper soil here. There's little boulders of granite, but this one favours deeper soil on the granite hill of Stony Hill. And right beside it is another plant that's come up as a seedling with white flowers. This is in the potato and tomato family, the Solanaceae. And it's a species that has very resinous, sticky leaves, and it's called the sticky tail flower. So the Latin name is Anthocercis viscosa, viscous meaning sticky. You might just be able to see a little bit of the shiny stuff right at the base here of the flower. You get the sunlight reflecting. Now I can't tell you much about this plant because I've stood in this very place with Noongar elder women, with my female PhD colleague, student, talking to them, and as I've walked up they've stopped talking and waited until I walked past. So I infer that this is a women's business plant, and it's not for me to know the story of it, but it is okay for white people under instruction by elder females to hear the story of it. Because it's got resin, I would presume there may well be some biochemical medicinal properties, but that's just me speculating, and I haven't inquired because it would be disrespectful of me to do so with the elder women. So interesting to have a woman's plant right beside a men's plant. Lastly, I just wanted to show you this other common tree that's resprouting. So this is a genus found only in southwestern Australia called Agonis. Wanil is the Noongar name, and it's a representative of the third of the 4 big families in southwestern Australia, the Myrtaceae. So it's related to distantly to eucalypts, melaleucas and the like, and they're an incredibly rich group of plants. You notice I was just brushing off ants then because the new growth is protected by ants, and this has incredible medicinal properties. The first test to see if it's Myrtaceae is to crunch up a leaf, and then you have a smell and you get the beautiful eucalypt oil smell. So you know it's that, and it's really tough wood. So this species and another one that grows on the swamps along the high rainfall south coast was used for spear making, and they would manage stands of both species so that you ended up with timber no thicker than that, that's dead straight. They'd manage it with fire. Individuals would own patches of it, and it would be their job to ensure the fire regime was correct to deliver nice straight stems. And just at Two People's Bay, 30 kilometres the other side of Albany, there's one place called Geach or Geich, which is the name for the other related species in the genus called Taxandria. And it forms big trees, 20, 30 metres high, and it produces the best spears. And I'm told that people came, in fact, from Eastern Australia, as far as Eastern Australia, to Albany to trade in these spears. They were so good. So it's another example, if you like, of these cross-continental connections where resources were important. Obviously they wouldn't come just for the spears, but they would come to trade stories and maybe marry out and settle disputes and all that sort of thing. But you know, it's rock hard stuff. If you want to make a spear, go for Agonis or Taxandria in the Myrtaceae. The third example I've shown you now of the 4 big families in southwestern Australia. And you can see estimated 50 years old. That's how big they get. This will form a big tree. I've seen trees with trunks almost 1 metre in diameter, which must be several hundred, if not approaching 1,000 years old, to reach that size. Also really important medicinally. For the leaves, you know, infusion, when you've got a cold, chest complaints, if you've got a cut, then scrunching up eucalypt or anything in the Myrtaceae and putting it on the cut helped healing, just like eucalypt oil does for us today. And I mentioned with the grass tree how you make a knife or a spearhead, and you have a wooden haft. There's your wooden haft. So you get a strip that long, and you'd strip the bark off. That'd be tough enough for a good tarp knife for sawing, or a quoach, a stone axe or hammer either. And you'd use the resin off the grass tree to form the super glue that connected the stone to the wooden haft.